The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
What's up, Pistons fans? It is the best POD in the 313. It is the Buffs On podcast. We are going to try to pull a Detroit Pistons here because we are very short. It's just me and Valley today. No Gabe, no Amit, but hopefully, like the Detroit Pistons, we keep winning. Um, we're going to talk about today. We're going to do a little bit of halfway season award voting. We're going to talk a little bit about the trades, but first and foremost, what we got to talk about is Cade Cunningham, all-star starter, voted there, not by the coaches, but by the community at large. To break it down, he was first. Oh, sorry, I'll go backwards. He was fourth in the fan vote, second in the media vote, and first overall in the Eastern Conference in the player vote. This is almost exactly how I would expect it to break down. Who got first in the media vote was Giannis. You know, he's that long-term established guy. I wasn't expecting us or him to be super high in the fan ranking. He was behind Giannis, Tyrese Maxey, and Jalen Brunson. Those are just either bigger names or in Max's case, I think just a bigger, uh, I don't know, bigger NBA town. You think Philadelphia over Detroit?
I
Just
would say
sheer
it's a
number
bigger.
of fans. I think it has a bigger scope outside of Philadelphia than the Pistons do right now. Um, but most importantly, I think number one in player ranking was just so awesome. Number one in player ranking for the Western Conference was Jokic. And this is just kind of that classic place that hoopers get put in, right? Like who are the guys that are always like high in player rankings are hires like Kyrie Irving types, straight up ballers. Dudes that play the game in an ethical way, in a way that's cool as heck. And that's seen coming through with Cade. You got anything to add to this other than just being amped up?
Other than being amped up, on the contrary, I'm just kind of ready to abolish all fan voting. I just think it's kind of silly. People can vote who forever, kind of what we saw with Zaza Pachulia all those years ago. And it shows with Cade being fourth in the fan voting, but being first amongst his peers. But yeah, like you said, there's just like an echelon, like a category of hoopers who just have that respect from all of their peers. And it seems like Cade is certainly one of those guys. It's just great to see this. It confirms what we see every night, and it's cool to see that maybe the general NBA public, with Cade being fourth in voting, isn't quite there, but it's cool to see that the coaches, the analysts, and of course the players see it, and it's not just our diluted Pistons vision. So it's great to have like that confirmation is nice.
It doesn't hurt to be dominating the Eastern Conference right now either.
Doesn't hurt.
Um, so what I'm most surprised by, not that Cade was a starter, but that in like the weighted score where they average these out, he was second behind Giannis. So he was the second guy to make it in there. I do like what they did with the All-Star team where they just took the top five. So it just went Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jalen Brown. So like no centers, one sort of small forward and just three guards, because I thought it was a real conversation. I absolutely thought that Maxey deserved it as well. That dude has been absolutely incredible. Brunson, we can talk about, but my bias aside, he probably also really deserves to be there. And the other two guys, yeah, I mean, I can't poke a single hole in the Eastern Conference All-Stars. Um,
No, going down the list too, like the weighted score, it's all pretty valid. Like it's all pretty fair. I think it checks out pretty well. I like the system they have in it. I think there's often a narrative, and maybe there's a lot of truth too, that the East is so weak, but it's interesting looking at them. Like after Giannis Antetokounmpo was first, you have Cade, Maxey, Brunson, Brown, Mitchell, all guys that can operate as the primary ball handler on your team. And it's cool to see Cade a bit comfortably on top of all those guys in terms of the voting, which is pretty cool. Sad to not see Jalen Duren on that return. I thought he maybe could have been on there, but I guess
I
we'll wait and see what JD's got for him, or where JD stands when it's all said
mean,
and
Brandon Ingram, it might be arguable, but I mean, I think he's a backup. I mean, did you have any hope that Jalen Duren was going to start the All-Star game, or
no, not start, but
you just
like
wanted to see him on the list?
see him on the list is what I'm saying. I definitely not start, but I just wanted to see him on the list. I feel like he has a lot of popularity within the media and like kind of with the more casual fan base as well from our team.
All right. One last thing on the All-Stars before we move on. Are you surprised at all that LeBron didn't make the starters? It was Jokic, Doncic, SGA, Steph, and Victor.
I
Um,
mean,
and then he was 8, 8, and 9 in player, fan, and media ranking.
I think that's pretty fair. I don't think there's any way you can slide him in the starting lineup. Especially off the names you just listed, it's like there's a considerable gap between those five guys and LeBron James right now. He'll always be in there until the day he retires, but definitely I'm glad they didn't like find a way to get him in there starting and just like kind of drag it on.
Do you think he's going to be an All-Star?
Yeah, he'll be an all-star.
See, I've been hearing talk that he's not going to, and I think that's ridiculous. The coaches are going to give deference to the best player that's ever played the game.
If not, I don't think Adam Silver will allow him
Well, allowed to
to
happen.
allow without LeBron James.
All right. What did we say next? Oh yeah, trade talks. Trade talks are still hot. From one of the moderators on Pistons Reddit, I think it's Kareem F7 or F77 or something like that. I have mild dyslexia and only sort of half read some things. Um, there were Nets scouts at the Pistons Nets game. Michael Porter Jr. is liking uh Cade Cunningham posts and Cade Cunningham and is commenting on Cade Cunningham Instagram posts. Um, and the last piece of this is Jaden Ivey just looking absolutely despondent on the Pistons bench. Now, he had a rough game for how dominant it was against the Pacers, and I mean it can't be easy to just hear your name. Like he's been in trade rumors even before he came back from injury. I feel like it cannot be an easy place to be in, but like all these things are coming together to be like I'm expecting the Michael Porter Jr. trade. I'm expecting the holy shit text in the group chat every day, every time I hear it buzz. Um, you feel like it's heating up. You feel like it's gonna happen, and if it happens, you think Ivy's in it.
I'm very much waiting for that text too. Like I know that one of these days I'm gonna either be the first to see it or there'll be 100 messages on my phone and I'm gonna see that he was traded. I think it's all just talk. I think it's all just yap. But then I saw Michael Porter Jr. commenting on Cade's post and it's like, okay, never in your life have you commented on this guy's post before. Now why do you decide to do it now? He has been resting a few games. I think at the time of recording, we're recording right before the Pistons play the Celtics. I think he's playing tonight. But something to keep an eye out for, I think, sooner rather than later, if this is really going to happen. I wonder. I heard. I want to say it was Windhorst. I never know the legitimacy of these guys, saying that that Giannis is kind of like the domino, the falling block of the NBA trade market. Once and if that trade goes through, a lot of teams are holding out to wait to see what happens there. Um, I think that this could actually happen sooner rather than later, though. I think there's a strong possibility throughout this week that we hop on for an emergency pod because we traded for Michael Porter Jr. and yeah, 100%. I think Ivy would be in there. I think there's enough in spurts for Brooklyn to be like, all right, let's gamble on Ivy. I just hope it wouldn't be one more young piece. I just really wouldn't want to see Ron. I would be devastated to see Ron Holland go.
But not
It's kind of
Ivy.
like I'm neutral about it. I'm okay if it's Ivy and Tobias, maybe Karras and some picks. But it's like kind of what Amit said. It's like if you're on the team, like let's run it, which is always what it will be. But I think super exciting that we are the betting favorites and that he's commenting on posts. I think this is a reality. I think it could be happening pretty soon that Porter Jr. is a Piston.
Yeah. Um, well, that's probably not the last time we'll speak on it, but maybe the last time we speak on it until he's actually a Piston. So let's now get into the meat of this podcast, what we actually wanted to talk about, and that's what are the Pistons right now? 30 and 10?
30 and 10.
40 games in, just about hit the halfway point. Um, and so we'll do a little bit of halfway point awards. Now, this is not award predictions. This is halfway point awards. And in thinking that, I kind of didn't think too much about games missed for this. To me, they haven't been eliminated. We could talk about that later, but for me, this was just like a clean who's been the best in these things for me. All right.
So
How did you do it? Same way, or did you account for like guys being out?
same way. just noting that we are you the same four categories?
Four category. Sure. I did all the major awards and then the Pistons stuff.
So I didn't do the major awards just because I thought they were for the most part obvious. We
Yeah.
can have a debate on some of them. Like we don't have to talk MVP. We don't have to talk some of this stuff. Maybe Depoy, but I just went dog X Factor, biggest surprise, and the new addition.
Let me run through the NBA stuff. You can tell
Yeah,
me if
run
you
through it.
agree or
Yeah.
disagree, and then let's dive deeper into the Pistons
Yeah.
stuff, right? All right, so MVP, totally unbiased. I had Jokic first, SGA second, and Cade Cunningham third. Um, I think those, as long as those two dudes are in their prime and are doing what they do, it's going to be very difficult to topple them, especially Jokic. I mean, the way he was playing this year is just truly, truly incredible. SGA is just on the best team in the league, and he is also almost unstoppable. And then yeah, Cade three. You could argue some different things. I've been getting into it with some of our friends on chat messages and getting rage baited about the Cade Victor. One of our friends, I'm not gonna, I'll say it. Nobody knows who he is. Mike. Every time we try to have a basketball conversation, we'll feed it into ChatGPT and then use that as an argument, and it makes me so mad. Um, but those are the top three. I mean, you could argue about Cade, but I'm putting him in there because we are the second best team in the league, and our net rating now reflects it, and he drives everything for this team. Defensive player of the year. I had two Pistons in our top three. I put Vic first overall. I mean, the impact is just kind of on art. You can't really argue with it because it's as much seen in the stats like percent like decrease in like rim percentage, shooting percentage as it is in not seen in the stats like the shots that guys don't take, the shots that they're scared to take because you're around there. Um, but second overall, I have Stu. Stu, obviously an insane shot blocker, and I feel over the last couple weeks, we're starting to see the adaptation to that from other players, which is like extremely tough layups and floaters when he's around. I'm thinking back especially to Portland, when almost every single layup they took, they put it off the very, very high glass because Isaiah Stewart was in there and they're like, oh, I'm not getting blocked. I'm going to put it off the high glass. And when you do that, you shoot a very bad percentage. And his rim protection has been incredible. I think he's been much better at like switching out, guarding almost any position, ISOing against Jalen Brunson when we crushed the Knicks. It was awesome. And then third overall, I have Asar Thompson, who offensively might not be as good right now, but is I think the better defensive Thompson twin. And that is enough to put you in the top three. Uh, I'm not I mean, I am an advanced stats guy. All the advanced stats have this dude as just like the most elite uh defender. Just he's just a 99th to 100th percentile in every category. Talking about perimeter defense, screen navigation, the difficulty of matchups has been extremely hard. We always stick him on the best guy, and he is just a terror. There's only one guy that's caused him any sort of problems, I feel like this year. Maybe two guys. DeMar DeRozan, and of course Kawhi Leonard. And if Kawhi Leonard is going to cause you problems, Kawhi Leonard is going to cause you problems. Coach of the year. I'm gonna go quick. We got JB Bickerstaff, of course, number one. Mazzulla, I have to give some respect to what he's doing with the Celtics. There's no reason they should be that good. And David Adelman, who the Nuggets just are finding one gem after another after Jokic went down. Sixth man of the year, Isaiah Stewart first. It doesn't usually go to guys like this, but like in terms of like impact off the bench, I think it's him or Naz Reid. Um, and I'm not really going to hear arguments about it. Third, I have Simons, Anthony Simons on the Celtics. Most improved player, Colin Gillespie first, mainly because I did not know who this guy was before this year, and now he's on a really good Suns team. I really enjoyed that Suns team when we played against them. Even without Book, they're feisty as hell, and he's pretty solid. Second, JD, um, just has upped his offensive game in so many levels this year is really incredible. And third, Peyton Watson, who's been playing like Kevin Durant, but just not a huge enough sample size for me right now. And then rookie of the year, Con Knipple, Cooper Flag, BJ Edgecombe.
I think I'm fully agreeing on pretty much most of them. I think Depoy is an interesting one. I feel like the argument, and it's true, like there's a lot of truth to it for Victor's always that he contests so many shots and alters shots, and obviously he does to an extraordinary amount. But I feel like the way it's like the narrative is set up, it's like Stu doesn't do that. But Stu does
Stu
but
does
like
do that. Yeah. I just Victor like is an NBA body that is just unmatched, like kind of unmatchable by a normal human being, I feel like. At being 7'6", being able to move, those long arms, the agility, like
Sure. I think I think with these awards, a lot of the time it comes down to like a few marquee matchups. And like the Pistons playing the Spurs, I want to say in February.
ooh.
If Stu comes out and like puts Victor in a body bag, like Stu.
Yeah.
I don't know, like we were just talking betting odds earlier.
He's
Whereas
not
no,
even on
I
him.
don't understand betting odds because Stu is not in the top 10 apparently. So this could be completely not true on our end.
I
I like
think
Rashard
it
Thompson on there. I think I didn't take it as seriously until like I saw that advanced stat that he's the first player to rank A plus in all these categories, and like that does mean something, and it is evident when we see a star
I
like
th I think the thing with Stu, which was it was this way last year, is he was ineligible for the
yeah,
award or the first teams because he did not have 65 games where he played more than 20 minutes, and that maybe could be the thing with him coming off the bench that he's not on those awards.
that makes sense.
But if he's eligible, there's
Especially
no
especially sixth man, but
sixth man. I mean, I think he's not going to win it because of the way that they do the award, but he
the
should.
I MVP will be interesting with if Jokic is theoretically ineligible. I guess it won't be interesting then, but yeah, pretty valid. It's hard to disagree with any of them really.
All right, enough of that nonsense NBA talk. Let's get into the Pistons nitty gritty. And I will let you take the lead here if you're ready for that. Um,
Yep.
you got your four. So the dog. I think this is the most important award for the Pistons, because what this team is built off of. Beware the dog. Who are your like who did you consider and who did you take like pick as your dog?
Well, the thing is, like the list is infinite, right? It's the entire roster. You can blindly pick one, you'll be all right. Um, and considering like we're shorthanded today, no Gabe, no Amit, I was thinking maybe some options that were less glaring because I think if you're giving this award out like the belt, the Piston belt after the game, if there was one owner to that, it's Isaiah Stewart, and there's not really a question about it. But I think I want to extend this because I think the bench has been such an integral part of our success in the last couple of seasons, including this one, obviously. And I think there's one out and out biggest dog on the bench, and that's actually Javonte Green. And so I'm going Javonte Green. I don't have the on-off defensive rating that they popped up in the last time on FanDuel Sports, but I do have his defensive rating as a 109.2. The team's is 110.5, so statistically it's backed up. But the Pistons are also first in the NBA, and they have been considerably for a pretty long time in total stocks. And Javonte Green, you check his box score every night, multiple stocks. Plays pretty much two, three, or four. He filled in to start one game when we were really shorthanded. He's just been such a pleasant surprise to me as well, on top of just being such a dog. I know we've talked about this a lot, him being a surprise and his offensive game coming along. So I don't want to be on it too much, but just his nature to like just be a gritty, grindy guy. Like those minutes, he didn't earn the minutes. Like he came into the league. Sorry, he earned his minutes. He came into this team kind of, I guess, on the outside on that vet minimum. Wasn't really sure what to expect from him at 32 years of age. Kind of just an end of the roster fill up. And he wasn't in the rotation to begin, but every second he's on the court, he's earned for. And I think there's a reason why he's often ending up a guy closing out basketball games. And it's one reason, it's because he's a dog. Um, Less obvious answer, my dog over the halfway point for the Pistons is Javonte Green.
Real quick, his points per possession, um, on off. So when he's on the court, other teams score 8.6 fewer points per 100 possessions, which is 94th percentile in the NBA.
Man,
So what you're saying there is absolutely true. Uh, I mean, he's a guy when he came in, I was like, okay, yeah, he's an end of the bench guy. He's a nice guy to fill it out. We're not gonna see a lot of him, and we've seen a lot of him, and I've been so happy about it. Uh, he's so much more than what I was expecting. Um, Really incredible. And just again, just fits like a glove. For any of our, I know you don't play it, but for any of our listeners, if anybody plays Team Fight Tactics, which is a game mode in League of Legends, what you do is you build these teams, and when they have similar traits, the traits come together and they multiply power. And the Pistons are like a dog team. And you take this Javante Green who has the dog trait and you put him in, and the dog amplifies everybody. And that's what it's felt like with Javante Green coming on. It's just infectious, and it I can't argue with him as the dog, other than Isaiah Stewart, of course, and my main man Ron Holland, who has been a dog since he was a pup when he came in the league. Still is a pup, still super young, but not fearful in the slightest. And just the way he's less, he does chat, he does talk, a little less so, but he's a dog in that. I couldn't, I mean, it's a Sar Thompson, but I couldn't imagine having a worse time than being matched up with Ron Holland, and just getting guarded by him all game. Just like a guard dog nipping at you when you cross that fence. Um, but I mean, yeah, you could go dog all over the place here. Dennis Jenkins, when he puts his like lower lip out and he puts his jaw, like every time he does something cool, he sticks his jaw, and he's a big talker too. Um, oh, you're muted.
I was just saying he's a huge talker and he's also a great mean mugger.
He's a great meme mugger. And I think, I mean, it's his doggedness, it's his heart that's got him in the freaking NBA, man. This guy's taking a crazy route. Um, so I got to give him some love too. But what about biggest surprise?
Surprise, I think these next three categories are more interesting for us. My biggest surprise is the Pistons record without Tobias Harris. The Pistons are 13-2 without Tobias Harris, which shines light on a couple of things, but which is kind of contradictory to the fact that the Pistons have looked better since Tobias Harris has come back from his injury, and Tobias has looked pretty good. But that means with Isaiah Stewart starting, the Pistons are 13-2. And I think that to me is the biggest surprise, on top of the fact that JB Bickerstaff went out and went for more double big lineups this year. I think that's something that I certainly have been advocating for a couple of seasons that JB Bickerstaff has been here. And it's really just important that or it's been integral to have these double big minutes. We just kind of just shut teams down defensively, especially bigger stars. Thinking of a Paulo Banchero who likes to operate as the ball handler in a pick and roll, and it's like, what are you going to do in a pick and roll? Because JD and Stewart just going to switch it. And a kind of another like a little thing under that umbrella of the biggest surprise is Duran's switchability on the screens. I think he's been really good. But the increased role of Isaiah Stewart, we've always seen it. We've always thought about it. We've acknowledged that it's there, but now it's actually coming into fruition. And again, like the larger, I think it's noticeable when there's an impact from Isaiah Stewart when like the quote unquote more casual fans are like praising him for his impact and not just, the stereotypes of Isaiah Stewart that he just is there to fight and play defense. Um, so my biggest surprise is that we're 13-2 with Isaiah Stewart starting at the 4 without Tobias Harris.
Yeah, he's definitely getting more love. I'm seeing less of those. I've never seen this dude do anything but fight comments on anything with Isaiah Stewart in it. Um, I had two kind of thoughts on this. One of them is kind of similar to yours, and it's that the Pistons are still good when we miss guys. And that has been really, really surprising to me, especially
Dare
when
I, dare I say we're better when we miss guys?
yeah, I don't know about that. But when like when Cade's out and all these guys are out, and you're thinking like, oh my God, this lineup looks like almost similar to what we were running 2 years ago. This is going to be terrible. And then it's like a Paul Reed, awesome game. Dennis Jenkins, awesome game. Javante Green, awesome game. Marcus, like anybody, like you just get these awesome games from guys. And like you said, no matter who's out on that court, they are just choking the other team's offense. And it's like it gives them a chance to win every single game because no matter who's out there, they are playing some of the best defense that is played in the NBA. Like keeping teams under 100 points is really incredible in this day and age, and the Pistons seem to do it pretty regularly. Similar to like kind of on that note, my biggest surprise was that it's no shooting, no problem. We lost two great shooters in Tim Hardaway Jr., who's balling on the Nuggets, and I miss him every day. And Malik Beasley, who I also miss and wish would come back, but we replace him with we have one shooter on this roster. We have other guys that can sometimes hit threes at better or worse rates, but we have one shooter on this roster, and that just if you look at anything from the past like 10, 15 years in the NBA, you'd think that's like impossible. That like in this day and age, you're a great team with one shooter, and the Pistons do it. And the Pistons do it through like I think smart offense, just and then just bullying people, like up, crushing the offensive glass, crushing the paint on both ends, and again, just like choking the life out of teams on defense. That it's like yeah, we're going to score twos, but you're not scoring anything, so twos are going to work. And that's been just awesome to see. And as we discussed earlier, if we add one more shooter to this, we add one more Michael Porter Jr. to this, like, and we still playing the same defense, but then getting threes up on the other side, this could get really, really good. This could get really, really good. Um, what were the last two awards? We had New Edition and
And X Factor. Let's finish. I think X Factor I'm most excited for. Let's finish on X Factor.
all right, the New Edition.
Who you got
Uh,
for your new edition?
I want to give. I was gonna say Javante Green, but since he's already won the biggest dog award, um, I'm gonna give it to Dunk as being the one shooter on this team. Everything that I thought about Dunk is coming true. He's fitting into the offense. He's got great and improving screen navigation synergy with Duran and Stu. He does some stuff off one dribble. He hits incredibly difficult three-pointers. And then what I wasn't expecting is Dunkyard Dog. Is him getting after it sometimes, man. Coming up with a weird steal every once in a while. Getting a weird defensive stop that you don't think he's going to get. Him being like the one guy that teams kind of can target in a lot of these, because you're not going to target any of the other four players out there most of the time. Um, him being the one guy that target and still holding up and being it's more or less a dog. And then yeah, again, obviously bringing the one area of perimeter spacing on this whole roster. You got something else? You're
I mean, it's hard to disagree with Duncan Robinson. And again, when I was doing this, going through my notes and like getting my stuff ready for these awards for new edition, I was thinking that Duncan would obviously be discussed, especially if there were four of us. And I assume Javante would be discussed. So new addition, I'm thinking of guys that didn't impact the roster last season, but impacted this season. And Danis Jenkins is the guy that did not impact the roster last year. So kind of a cheat, but I went Danis Jenkins for biggest new addition. I was just thinking about it when we were talking earlier when you mentioned Paul Reed and guys just coming up with big games when we're shorthanded. I think we kind of just because we've been so successful and it's been so fun, we kind of forget this team won 13 games in a row, and that is such an impressive feature. And Danis Jenkins, that's when he came on. We never would have thought, winning those kind of games, that many games, but that he would be playing. And not only did he play, like he made an instant impact. I think one of the first times, maybe a second game, was against Washington, that crazy double OT game where he hit the nutty shot in the corner to send it to the initial overtime. Just provides a certain spark and grit. But I think that's kind of all I really saw from him was like a certain spark and grit. But I think over the last couple of weeks, after we kind of thought Danis might have gone down after having a bad shooting split, a bad shooting month, and I think November, he's really showed me at least that he can genuinely run an offense, and that's why I have him above Sasser right now in the pecking order. Just because he clearly runs the offense. I would say the second best on our roster. I genuinely do. Like when there's no Cade in terms of organizing and running the offense, I think Danis is probably right there.
I
Uh,
I love those cross court sling passes that he
Got
makes.
those down.
Those are those are real nice. Get a lot of those in that 15 assist game. Um, yeah, I can't be too upset at that choice.
If I could give it to one person though, I would give it to Duncan. Like you said, like the synergy on the pick and rolls, that's something we really saw a lot in Miami with Bam Adebayo. That's progressively come on as the season has gone along for the Pistons. Doing that with JD and with Stu and P. Reed a lot. Even Asar Thompson a little bit, but I think this award, like it's designed for Duncan Robinson. He's had an astronomical impact. Big debate. Would you say his impact like is has been greater than Malik Beasley's, or would you rather, or what do you think like between him and Beasley, what that would look like if we had one or the other?
So I might be looking through rose-colored glass, but I still kind of see it with Malik. Dunk does definitely more of that sort of playmaking stuff within the offense. Works, I think, better with the bigs, but just the insane shooting volume of Malik was really special last year. Like one of the top 3-point shooting seasons in the history of the NBA. And I won't forget that. I think he's better at heating up, hitting like an incredible array of very tough threes than Dunk is. But Dunk is probably more consistent throughout a within a flow. All right, well let's do it. X Factor.
This was hands down the one I had the most fun with, and I think this was the one where you probably had also again like a really wide array of options because there's a lot of X factors when you're 30 and 10, and when you were the opposite a few seasons ago. But I was messing around in stat muse a lot. I was just thinking in the top of my head sometimes, well, what's our biggest X factor? And then it kind of hit me, and I don't remember after what game it hit me, but it was a game where Star Thompson contributed enough on the offensive end. And I did some digging after that and found that the Pistons are 14 and 1. They've lost once in the 15 games where Star Thompson has scored just at least a measly 12 points. So my biggest X factor is Asar contributing offensively because we are 14 and 1 when he scores at least a dozen. I thought this was a crazy stat because 12 points isn't too hard to come by, you know? It really isn't, especially for him who shoots mid 50s at the line. Like there's a lot of points being left there. If he starts making some of those, even for example, where could our record be?
All
But this to
right.
me was just like I get why there's so much initiative from the coaching staff to find ways to like utilize Asar Thompson because if he's a threat offensively, if you have to find a way to put defensive attention on him other than right under the hoop, I think everything unlocks and Cade unlocks. So I think hands down, this is our X factor, and I had a fun time finding that stat.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he brings you anything offensively, it more justifies him being out there, which allows him more time to play defense, which I think is the important part of that. I don't know how much it's like we're 14 and 1 when he scores 12, or he scores 12 when we're 14 and 1. Like if we're beating up on teams, this is not Thompson get his points, but we have 30 with 16 other wins where he didn't do that, I guess. Hard to argue with. I think it probably is Asar Thompson as an X factor because it is that sort of thing like in a playoff series, if the other team is just fully not guarding Asar Thompson or guarding him with a big and he is not having an impact, and he can't be out there and it stifles the offense, then we are a much worse team. But if it is a situation where JB can find creative ways and Asar can find creative ways to stay in the offensive state, keeping guys honest or impacting the offensive end in some way, which allows him to be out there and do all the other beautiful stuff that he does, then we are a very good team. Probably a very good team regardless, but I think that's the X factor that takes us from like good to like very elite is Asar Thompson being out there and being able to do stuff on the offensive end and contribute for 35 minutes possibly other rather than 22, you know. Um, yeah, those are the other X factor. I feel like for everybody else, like as we've seen with just like everybody in and out of the lineup and us still winning, you give like 10 different X factors on any given night, right?
Yeah,
Paul Reed could be an X factor if he decides to have a Paul Reed game, you know?
Paul Reed, Cade's 3-point shot being down, so they can't go under on screens. Yeah, there's an infinite list of factors I feel like you could go on. Ron Holland or like our 3-pointers falling are like iffy shooters hitting or not.
Or
That's
Jalen Duren having a high energy game, you know? Like uh
exactly.
a lot of stuff that can go either way. And with all those things going either way, if enough of them go our way, we win. And that's what seems to be happening. All right. That is our or Valiant Eyes. halfway through the season awards. Please argue with us in the comments. Tell us who you think. Who's the biggest addition? Who's the biggest dog? Who's the biggest surprise? And who is the X factor on this Detroit team? And also sound off if you think any of the Pistons deserve shots at the major NBA awards. Yeah, sound off in the comments. Let us know. And throw the Buffs on because the future is right now. Detroit